Babies and gentle worms, welcome to Crowdfunding Countdown, where we're going to take a look at every single board game campaign finishing up in the next week. Thank you so much for joining me, and a huge shout out goes out to my newest patrons this week, JB, Bonnie, and Sarah. Thank you so much for jumping on board and supporting the channel. I know, I being someone who is incredibly cheap, I know how much it takes to make that step and to support a channel and to support the content, but it really is meaningful to me. It is super meaningful. Even just a couple bucks goes a long way. And I want to effuse praise upon you all, and especially my newest patrons for jumping on board and making that leap. I will do my best to completely let you down and make you regret that decision, but not as much as you would have regretted backing Secrets of the Lost Tomb. Okay, let's move on. Let's get ahead and start the week off. It's not going to be 2 hours this week. That was a long week last week, let me tell ya. But it's not going to happen this week, but we're going to start off with something that I did miss. Usually I try to go up to Tuesday, and I did miss it in that big, huge swath of a week. Maybe it hadn't funded at the time. I don't know. But this is Valka, a savage multiplayer and lone quest card game with immersive art by visionary artist Brooke Penrose. Oh, Brooke. I do really like the art in this, so let's see if the gameplay is interesting or not. Valka! Yeah, that song slaps. I hope that's also included as a backer gift. No action points, no card cost, no hand limit, no mercy. That's the tagline of it, and it's 29 bucks for this card game. Oh yeah, there's a tagline. See, I didn't make it up. I'm not that clever. Valka. In Valka, you will build your formations and use a variety of buffs, events, traps, and items to strategically bolster your fighters to cement your warband as the undisputed rulers of Valka. Over 160 cards. Yeah, okay. When they said 42 fighter cards are ready to take their stand, I was like, there's 42 cards in this game. But I'm glad that there isn't. Rulebook right at the top of the page. You better be. The Terrible Game sent me an email and said, hey, don't forget to include this. And, well, I did forget to include it, but I'm including it now. Thank you for having the rulebook right at the top. Note, play with lots of friends, make lots of noise, describe your attacks, and don't be afraid to forge alliances with another player to take on a tougher opponent. All right. I like when rulebooks encourage you to do this. I also, there's always catch-22 of, are they just encouraging you to do this because it's not fun if you don't? Some games aren't. So you have two lines, you have a front line and a back line. Front line can't be moved unless events say so, so they're your sort of big fighters. When they die, then the back line goes through, and you want to get through the back line to get to the castle and win. Well, to kill the other person. Buffs cannot be equipped to face down fighters. I think that's a missed opportunity. So I think some of the things in the back line are also event cards that get flipped over. So then you get a nice, you've activated my trap card moment. And so if you can fake buff your event card, that feels like it would be more fun, but you can't. Oh, and every time you also get to reinforce your own lines, which is nice. Draw 3 cards, then you can place a fighter to your back line, equip a buff card to a fighter in your back line, playing both cards face up. You can play events, and then you can set traps. Oh, when these cards are played as a trap, when your backline becomes your front line, they're flipped face up and immediately resolve. Yeah, we know that. Or you could just play event cards outside of that. And it's very freeform, so you can do all of these things as much as you want. So rearranging the backline and bringing things back into your hand. Maybe there's some fun synergies there, I think. But you can't just push buffs forward into the front line. I think that's the key. And then combat, each frontline fighter must attack once per round. Declare which of your fighters is going to strike, at which frontline enemy fighter you're striking. Then there's different ways of striking them, and they can link up together to take down somebody else. So you could just say, hey, I'm taking down this really big scary buddy, because we do a team strike, but then you're not striking everybody else, right? These ways to strike seem fun, though. The reckless strike, if a fighter has only 1 health, you can sacrifice it to deal 1 damage. That seems kind of fun. And if you can't, then you can always roll a dice, which is kind of a standard, like, roll a dice, compare your stats, and see what happens. But I like that that is used as a last resort, and that there are other ways of striking and using your numbers. It's not all the same thing. I actually really like that idea. Each fighter has an infamy score that can be used to determine the winning score after the game has ended, so presumably the most people that you kill, the more points you get. Oh, okay, and there are synergistic bonuses you can get as well by being in the same war band. Then it just goes through the different events and how to track damage. You can have extra cycle too. And then there's different, 2 different ways to play, really. The bounty hunter to get points, or just complete annihilation. I'm actually quite surprised at... Oh, right, and then there's this little lone quest thing. Your warband elder has been lost to the wilds and woe of Valka. Oh, nice. Original soundtrack. Oh, I listened to the Valka soundtrack here. All backers receive a free download code. Great, because it's a friggin' banger. That's what it is. All right, what's shipping? This legacy version, meh. I think the head-to-head is going to be more fun, but again, that just seems more geared towards solo, and I'm not that solo. I mean, I'm very lonely, but I'm not a solo gamer. So, you know, I have an inherent loneliness deep inside me that I just cannot overcome. But I don't play solo games. US 11 to 16, so we'll call it 16. 15 to 18, so we'll call it 18. So $16. Hopefully it would be 11 because it's a smaller thing, but let's just say it's $16, making it 45 US to get to your door, 40 to 45 US to actually get to your door. Yeah, I mean, I'd like a little bit cheaper, but really, like, if you're a big fan of the art, I think this does do a lot of really nice things. I do. I'm actually quite surprised, because normally with these card games, these card battler games, I'm not really interested in them whatsoever. And this one, I like the variants in terms of how you can really approach the fights. I like the flow of it. It's giving me barbarian. It's giving me radland. It's giving me death, honey. So if it's giving you any of that, you can back that or get it. Tuesday finishes Tuesday, November 21st at 11:01 a.m. Moving along to Cat Sushi Masters, an all-ages card game, aka probably not that fun, that will turn you into hungry cats ready to dive on tons of catalicious sushi. Ayo! Catalicious, baby! Woo! Okay, let's see what this even is. Well, I think that video was edited very well. I don't know if the voiceover was somebody putting on a very bad accent and being very offensive, or if it was somebody real. So we're gonna hope that it's real. We're gonna hope it's real. Oh, we're gonna hope it's real. I don't think this is gonna be good, just judging by that video, but let's see a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, if you're charging €18 for the print and play, that's not the current market value whatsoever. And then you're at €28 already before shipping, it's 42 Canadian. No. No matter how much Ginger tries to allure me with her hula hoop, they do have a rule book. It's 43 pages for a very simple card game. Oh no. Okay, there might be kind of a game here. Basically, there's going to be a row of cards. You want to get cards. Cards give you points. You can play down any dish in order to eat it up, but everything gets beaten by something else in rock, paper, scissors style. So in this example, like a napkin is placed down, and then they place some chopsticks over the napkin because chopsticks beats napkin, but bowl beats chopsticks, you know? And so if it gets back to your turn and nobody's played something to beat you, you win the card, and if you don't, you don't. There are also, of course, zany cards that you can do, and then everything gets discarded, but it's not like it's a one-time discard. You just get to discard it into your discard pile, and so you just keep on shuffling through your deck, which makes it, I don't know. But you also, it's a little bit of a deck builder. You can improve your deck by spending wasabi points, and so you can use your sushi that you claim to make recipes, or you can get some bonus abilities. Yeah, that's okay. That's much better. That's better than what the video was presenting. What's shipping like? Shipping to Italy, €9. Most of rest of Europe, €13. Other rest of Europe, €19. UK, US and Canada, 18 and €19. Like, this would be like $60 or almost $70, which is just ludicrous for me. But it seems better than I was expecting. I just think Valka looks better. But if that sort of idea and flow interests you, of like, hey, don't pass too much, or you won't get sushi, then check it out. That finishes Wednesday, November 22nd at 12 p.m. Moving along to Alpenglow, the ski resort board game. Hit the slopes of it in Alpenglow, a thrilling engine-building game for 2 to 5 tycoons. You're not just a skier, you're a tycoon. Expand the mountain and craft your ski area. Cool. Let's see if this is any good. I mean, I barely got a sense of what, what was going on there. But it's an engine builder. It's an engine building game where you're taking over a ski resort. You and your competitors are all going to collaboratively run this ski resort together. It's going to be nice. And then at the end of 2 seasons, all of you except one will be ousted. Your investment will be taken from you, and someone will just run all of it. So really, it's a winner-take-all situation here, which is how I like to run my businesses. It started with a simple chairlift and a small fortune because you're making chairlifts. Yeah, you didn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. No, you clearly have generational wealth. You can have chairlifts and buses. That's going to be how you navigate your area. Your chairlifts will lock down places upon the main board, and then the buses will give you additional actions. You plan like a bus route, and you want to stop somebody else. I want to see how the bus route is planned. That's what I'm interested in. Where is the rule book? Well, first tell me how much it is, I guess. 59 feels reasonable for like a engine building game. Of course, that means it's 80, then plus shipping is 100, so it's no longer reasonable for me, but, you know, it might be reasonable for you. So you choose all of the action spaces that you're going to go to. Again, it looks like people are sharing an action space as well, which I'm surprised about. Now, I'm not colorblind, but that could be a dark blue or it could be black. I think it's black, and then you're placing, they need to get some symbols on that, because this just makes it inaccessible for anyone who is colorblind just with that video. Like, for example, maybe the symbol of the run that you're playing down. Anyway, you play a run down so you can kind of create the mountain, right? Like you are physically sculpting the mountain if we're talking about it thematically. And all of these cards will have actions on them, which is fun. And then you can build a new building, which you can put your own little tile on. So anytime you use it, or maybe somebody else uses it, you get to do that thing. And you can also build chairlifts from point A to point B and lock down area control in the main board. Why? I don't know why. So whatever you're touching with your chairlift or the spaces around it, you can then deliver skiers to it, and probably you have to populate the skiers because only one skier can stay on that run, building it for everybody else, I guess. Rulebook, yes, I want it because I have a lot of questions. Only 12 pages. I expected this to be 40 based upon the amount of questions I have. It's no cat sushi chef special, all right? Oh, right, and because there's 2, 3, and 4-person chairlifts, I think that's important by however many runs you can sort of populate, which is interesting. Okay, and so for your bus routes, you just have 5 buses and they all have to be touching each other. So you just plot your own little landscape and you pick the actions that you're going to take in advance. So it's kind of like delayed worker placement, you know, because whenever you take them off, you get the actual action. Okay, so that answers my bus route question. And basically, you're just collecting cubes, which are collecting skiers. So you're going to pull the buses off, and then you're going to use those skiers to put them on the ski places. I see. And the capacity of your chairlifts is going to affect the runs, the amount of things that you can touch, which we thought before. But that makes sense in terms of, are you going to upgrade the capacity, or are you going to extend further? And that pushes you to really activate your chairlifts every round, which also costs you money. Oh, and it also depends where they get on versus what you get to do. So you might get money, you might get victory points, you might get other actions. Really, it feels like the victory points are going to be coming from the buildings, but it seems like everybody's going to be building the buildings anyway. But I guess if you get money, then you can afford to build more buildings, so that's not bad. So everybody takes 5 turns, you reset, everybody takes 5 more turns, you're done. It's only 10 turns, that's it. Also, you're going to have goal cards, objective cards, etc. Yeah, it seems okay. Seems fine. Do the skiers stay on? I think they stay on too, because if they don't stay on, then everything is meaningless. So we're going to assume that they stay on, and that's why you're racing to expand and create more runs that only you can access. Nope, that's a lie. Clear any skiers from the mountain and return them to the supply. See, I don't like that. But I guess because you're getting different skiers from every building, you can't just reuse the same things over and over again. It seems weird that you can just reuse the same things over and over again. Not sure I'm a fan of that, but otherwise it seems okay. Shipping, the lowest shipping is $18. Yikes. To Canada, it's $26. So like I told you, it's over $100 game. No. For 60, maybe. For 50, 60-ish? Yeah, I think it would be okay. For double that, I don't think so. But it's up to you. That finishes Thursday, November 23rd at 1 a.m. if you're interested. Moving along to the 13th Street Crew. Rise through the ranks of the 13th Street Crew in the semi-cooperative game of strategy and social deduction just crossed its funding goal. I don't know anything about this at all whatsoever. Nor do I intend to find out. Semi-cooperative game because one of you might be an informant, but you all want to rise to the ranks of the 13th Street crew unless you're the informant, in which case you want the 13th Street crew to get arrested, I suppose. There's nothing really else that's to say there. Loyal crew that are the top earners share in victory, but some might cut you out to raise their own position. Okay, so it's not a semi-cooperative game at all. It's the highest score wins. It's the highest score wins, and if you tie, then you both win. That's not what a semi-cooperative game is. Depends how hard it is for everybody to win together, but rulebook. I do like that there's going to be poker chips, and I do like that there's the rulebook right here, and then you clicked on it, and boom, there's the rulebook. That was nice. That was nice and sassy. So there's solo jobs, small jobs, big jobs, at least 3 people to complete, 2 people to complete. All right, so basically you're going to be drawing these little resource cards and then negotiating who goes on the mission based upon what resource cards they claim they have. And if there's an informant, well, then there's a chance to have the police being called. There's also always a chance, because there's a big deck of cards and you kind of shuffle them very Secret Hitler-esque in terms of something's going to happen. You might just get a bad draw and you might just have to call the police on yourself and be a very honest criminal. Like, listen, I really don't want to do this, but there's some sort of Jedi mind trickery happening here. And yes, I will be calling the cops on myself. That seems fine. $25 plus 15 shipping to the United States. So $40 for this game. I don't think so. I think you can get a similar social deduction tradery hit with all the other usual suspects that are out there. I don't think this necessarily elevates all that too much in the genre, but I think it looks fun. I think it looks okay if you wanted a really sort of mob style game. I don't really like that it's the person with the most money wins, because then it's not semi-cooperative, and then you can just have a group of 3 and be like, yeah, we're all going to go on this together. I suppose the other player would have a bunch of resource cards and get to participate, so it kind of balances against that. But I don't know, it just doesn't blow me away. But I'm happy for them that it's funded. 60 people, so on average $100 each. Yeah, that's not a real thing that actually happened. So maybe it is funded, maybe it's not. Maybe maybe the creators hucked over some cash to put it over its funding goal to encourage people to pledge. That's something that generally happens. That finishes Thursday, November 23rd at 7:36 a.m. Moving along, maybe. I'm looking at this one. It hasn't funded, so I'll let you know if it's any good. Kickstarter says they love it, and it could get funded. It's pretty close, so I'm going to check it out. Also, though, an average of $100 spent-ish. So the conceit of this one, if you want to check it out, I'm just going to do it briefly, is that, see these 5 different colors? They're all different types of cards. Like in a standard deck builder, all the cards kind of synergize with each other. And so in this one, you just have access to all 5 all the time. You just sort them by color, and they always pop up in a certain spot. And then you have your choice to get those cards and then punch this big old dragon in the face in the middle. There was one thing that I didn't really like when it said other players can disrupt you, but do whatever you can to avoid the monster. Again, they said there was the semi-co-op word thrown around. It's not. If there's one winner, it's not semi-co-op. It just means that there could be a loss. Semi-cooperative means you actually have to cooperate together, and that multiple people can win. You wouldn't call Crisis a semi-co-op game. You wouldn't. Anyway, you can check that out if you want. That's City of Myrkesh. I don't think it's gonna fund. Well, it might fund. It might fund. It's close enough, but I don't think so. They'll probably reevaluate and relaunch if it doesn't, though. So check that out. Moving along to something that maybe you've actually heard about. This is The Old King's Crown, a tale of royalty, rebels, and ruses. Strategic board game for 1 to 4 players, an empty throne, a crumbling kingdom, and the heirs that would claim it. What crown will Hugh wear? Well, that didn't need to be that long to explain what it seems to be a very simple game and probably pretty fun. You've got a number of different rounds, a number of different things that will happen in the round. You're going to place down people on the board. You're then going to place cards face down, which will have varying effects, and then you'll win that sort of area. You're kind of fighting over these different battles. At least that's what the video kind of is telling me. And then win some little trinkets that you can then upgrade yourself as you go along. Let's see what the rulebook says, but it seems basic, and that's not a bad thing. I think it actually seems pretty fun, but it's really just keeping the lore on you when it does not need to. Well, it does if it wants you to pay this price, £52.89 Canadian. Probably not. I don't want testimonials. I want to read it for myself. Thank you. And where are the tabs, Old King's Crown? Kickstarter has this now. This is kind of interesting, though. You draw cards from your faction deck if you're unable to meet your hand size. Your supply lines have stretched too thin, incurring attrition and reducing your hand size. Oh, well, actually, that sounds like it's interesting, but really what that means is, hey, if you lose too many cards, you're going to draw less cards. Yeah. Oh, I don't have 6 cards to draw? Well, now my hand size is 5. I certainly hope I don't get another card, because then my hand size will still be 5, and then I'm screwed. Probably won't happen. But I like the thought. I do like the thought. Throughout the game, you can gain new cards, call others, curate your deck instead of churning and cycling. This limit on shuffling results in a highly strategic, low-luck approach to deck management. Yeah, or hand management, because if you're drawing your whole deck, then it's just hand management, isn't it? This feels very similar to Fractured Sky, or Fractured Skies by Ivy Studios. It feels very similar in terms of the flow and the feeling, which isn't a bad thing. I think that game was great. But so you're going to be placing people down and you're saying, listen, I'm going to go here. I'm going here, but you might just be bluffing because your strength is only modified from whatever card you put down. I do like in here that you're battling over everything, though. Okay, in the winter, yeah, so any of the other cards that got discarded and manipulated, whatever, can be taken. Definitely looks fun. I don't know if it looks 52 pounds fun, because this is going to be a $120 game for me. And we still haven't seen a rulebook. The art is beautiful here, though. Here we go. Rulebook is 2/3 down the page. I don't really have any questions, though. Maybe the additional rules? Anything that hasn't been explained? It seems very simple. The faction decks are pretty wide, though. 18 cards for each of the faction decks. 17 to 20, actually. I'd also like to know how you win. So 21, check for winner. Oh, so the attrition thing is basically every time you have to shuffle your deck, you get less cards. Not sure if I'm excited about that, personally. I worry this wouldn't be good as a 3-player game because there are sort of 3 locations, and then one person just kind of wins every spot. But the fact that you're battling in each place is exciting. Oh, that's cool. And how the things are resolved is decided by the person who's in last place. That's kind of a neat twist, right? If then you may want to sandbag so that you can resolve one of the areas first that you think you're going to win, especially at that last point to put you over into the winning phase. Although it's only in winter that you check for a winner, so then again that doesn't really matter. It feels like there's a lot of little things that I'm like, that seems cool. And then I think a little bit further down the line, I say, okay, I don't quite see the applications yet. It could just be because I'm reading the rule book, which is a possibility. But it also could be that it doesn't really matter. Could be it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of thrown in there. I think it's probably the first one, but the ego in me thinks it's the second one. So if you have 15 points, that's great. I think the order does matter because you can bolster. That's why it does matter, because you can bolster other sections as well. So you want that to trigger first, or you think somebody is going to be like, yeah, I'm going to actually shift everybody into the next section. Well, you want that one to go last so that their plan is foiled. Okay, I think it's cool, but what's the shipping? Shipping £9. USA 15 pounds. Canada 17 pounds. Yeah. This is like a $130 game for me. Maybe, about $130. About $130. Really doesn't seem worth that much to me because I have other games that do a similar bluffing betting thing, I've got Raw for the betting. I've got Fractured Skies for the bluffing. I think I'd rather pick up Inish for that sort of conflict over multiple areas. But it seems cool. Definitely seems cool. I'm surprised it's raised so much. But way to go, Old King's Crown. What a great start to a new company. That finishes Thursday, November 23rd at 12 p.m. Moving along. Oh yeah, just quickly. I love when I add little things like this because I look at the tabs that I have and I think, that's another rulebook. And this isn't a rulebook. I just wanted to look at this thing. A Collectors, a solution to store and display your miniatures. They're kallax compatible, modular furniture designed to hold large amounts of miniatures for your ward game, RPG, and board game. So if you have a kallax and you have a lot of minis that you want to maybe display, it doesn't really look like you can display them, but they're just shelves, right? It's just a shelving unit. But it's a shelving unit that fits into a kallax that might be better than what IKEA currently has. But also maybe not. I'm fairly certain IKEA has shelving units, and you can just get like little trays. What I want is that they can be pulled out and left hanging there. If they can do that, then I'm interested. They're putting an enormous amount of minis on one single sheet. I would be terrified that I would just drop it all. But I understand the idea of putting them all out there. That it seems horrible, but it's nice to have this sort of shelving unit to have things and to be able to put them away too. Like just as like a little painting station. That's not bad. I think it's kind of a nice look, but it'll depend on how much it costs. Oh, only $2 Canadian. What a deal. 45 US, you get one Collector X. I don't know why I wasted my time. I should have just looked at the price first to just go to IKEA and get some shelving. It's nice that these are modular, that you can pull them out. They do fit into a kallax, but I also think that IKEA probably already has shelving like this. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe they just have the drawers. So for $30 Canadian, you can get an insert with these little shelves, and guaranteed they're not. You can probably pull those out. Maybe you can't. Maybe they're screwed in. But the value of these is that you can potentially take them out as well. I don't know. I mean, I do know it's 67 Canadian, and the IKEA ones were 30, and then you don't have to pay for shipping. So just kidding. I do know. But I like the. I mean, you might want them. Maybe you want them. If you want them, check it out. Okay, let's move on to something else. That's finishing Friday, November 24th. Let's move on to something also finishing Friday. Perseverance Castaway Chronicles, episodes 3 and 4. Discover a living dinosaur world in a series of mechanically evolving strategy games. Join the epic conclusion to the Perseverance saga. This is by Mind Clash Games. New patron Sarah wants me to roast them. She says, I hate Mind Clash. I've always hated them, and I want them never to exist. That's what she said. She didn't say that Tricarion was her favorite game. No. She said that Perseverance should go into the bin. Those are her words, not mine. So we're going to take a look at this one. The only reason I've ever been interested in Perseverance is because I love Anachrony, and therefore love Mind Clash. I think Mind Clash makes some great games, and Anachrony's great, Septima's great. That's all I've played from Mind Clash. I need to play Tricarion. And the question here is, can you get this without doing 1 and 2, and is it worth it? So let's see what these are all about. Because I've never looked into the Perseverance 1 and 2 before. I've never looked into it because I thought it was kind of campaigny and kind of not. It's a weird marketing thing of all these different games, and I guarantee you if they didn't call it episode 3 and 4, if they just called it Perseverance Imperium, Perseverance The Rise of Ix, they might have gotten more backers. Man, that Chronicle mode sounds just so tiring. Because you can play episode 1, 2, 3, and 4 and have a little mode that ties them all together, but they are unique games. These are unique games, 2 unique games, which I still don't know the difference between 3 and 4. Let's be real. But we're going to find that out together. You are getting 2 games in 1 if you purchase this standalone edition. I just really can't wrap my head around why these are... I get it, you're on a dinosaur island and there's this kind of interconnected mode. It's the weird feeling of like, hey, episode 3 is the game that I like, you know? And it's the weird feeling of feeling like you need to play all the other ones and then hone in on the one that you actually like. And if they're 4 different games with like different mechanics, why are they all linked together? Is it just so that you can use the same minis in them? We're going to find out together. Stop asking questions that you don't know the answer to, Chris. That's not your job, you idiot. Find the answers and then present them. Well, I'm going to cut this stuff out. No, you stupid hobbitess. Chris likes his friends. Chris wants to talk to the people. Chris does not deserve the people. But I'm just hanging. Quiet! No, please. I give in to your FOMO. That's a different world. We're doing a Smeagol column thing. We will ask the questions. Now we're in a very horrible space. Resistance is futile. You don't seem to be getting the memo here. Quiet, stupid hobbits. But I'm not the hobbit. I'm a Smeagol. Let's look at episode 3 and 4. The story so far. Episode 3. Oh, look at all those bits. Episode 4. Look at all those same... It's the same bits. Perseverance is our most ambitious project, a vision we've been working on for over 6 years. Wow. It's a series of 4 medium-heavy competitive Euro games, playable on their own or as a continuous story. The series shares dice placement as its core mechanism, making each episode easy to learn. Beyond that, each episode has specific signature mechanisms, giving them distinct identity and a unique game feel. So, episode 1, base defense, temporary cooperation. Episode 2, engine building, hex-based expansion. Episode 3, tableau building, dino placement, and exploration, because you're going to be taming dinos and then sending them out into the wild. And then episode 4, battling the ancients, shipbuilding. I love how they get further away. They get further away from like recognizable things. Mind Clash has gone so Mind Clash on itself that they're just like, we are gonna fight the ancients. You know what my favorite mechanism in a board game is? Battling the ancients. That's true. Every time I go to Bridge Night at the community center, I will battle the ancients. And then shipbuilding. Yeah, you're going to, by the end of this, you're going to know how to build a fully fledged flying pirate ship. That's the journey that we've been going on at Mind Clash. We've been developing rocket scientists. Sorry, flying pirate ship scientists. The game mechanisms and visuals evolve throughout the episodes and follow the two-decade-long story of shipwrecked survivors stuck on a dinosaur island. The entire saga is infinitely replayable in the Chronicle mode, but each episode is also a full experience on its own as a standalone game. From the creators of Anachronature Carried and Voidfall. I mean, yes, you've got my attention, okay? I'm sure it's going to be exceptional. Only on GameFound, no retail version, because it's so weird that you can't market it, except to a bunch of friggin' weirdos. Alright, here's episode 3 gameplay overview. Hopefully they have rule books. I don't see it in the lovely side chart above my head, but we'll see. You've tamed the dinosaurs in episode 1 and 2, and now you can ride them. Design of episode 3 focused on continuous play, constant player engagement, and streamlined rules with playtime and complexity slightly below episode 2. What really kind of turns me off here is like as a new primary action, so it's as if we're building, as if you need to learn the whole rule set. It feels exhausting to me. It feels exhausting. But to be fair, I'm sure Voidfall feels exhausting to most people. That one doesn't feel exhausting. Well, it feels exhausting, but like in a spine-tingly way. I do like this, though. Whenever you explore something, you can get a one-time bonus, or you can get a permanent bonus. That seems exciting. Well, the assembly mechanism is returning. Thank goodness we all know what that means. But it's in new streamlined form. Now triggers separately in each district. Yeah, who knows what that really means. You've got your own tableau building element to it. It's a pretty small rulebook. It's certainly easier to read the rulebook than watch a video about somebody bumbled through it. At least for me. Okay, this is the important bit right here. Turn structure. Here's what you get to do on your turn. You can either put a dice in the city and take some actions there, or you can place a tamed dinosaur somewhere out in the wilderness and take an action there. That's where you're going to choose between like a permanent settling bonus or a one-time better bonus, basically. And then your secondary actions are activating your ranch, that's your little tableau that you're building, or using an officer perk, which I don't know what that is, but probably an asymmetric special ability. And then apparently there's an adventure that you can be going on, so there you go. And that's it. That's all you really get to do. And then you only have 8 turns. And so there's many, many different actions that you can take in the different spots of the city, but a lot of them have to do with either getting dinos that are untamed, training those dinos so that they are tamed so you can put them out later, or developing your settlements that you can then put out. Okay, and then for your secondary action, either you get to activate one of the rows in your ranch, or take a cube off of an officer. And so officers is just another, so it's multiple different spots that do action. You're trying to gain the most followers, so this is where these assemblies matter, because when a certain number of dice are put in a zone, then whoever has kind of committed more to the zone, it seems, will potentially get a bunch of followers. It seems really simple, to be honest. Okay, so that's kind of number 4. Get the most points by putting things out and building up the city a little bit, and mostly by having majorities here and going out and interacting and exploring new lands. It's fine. Episode 4, the entire wilderness has been charted by our brave dino riders, because that's what you did. You went out, you explored. Thriving outposts begin supplying stuff. You see the changes of the board that have happened up here. You still have your own sort of main player board, though. The ancients, creators of temples, have returned to claim back their island. Now we find ourselves fighting an uphill battle against a fearsome unknown enemy. Some see the dimensional storm as an unlikely opportunity to leave this cursed place and find our way back home to our true home. So you have 2 main strategies to pursue. I like this. This is what my neighbor's game is about, too. 2 different strategies of how to save the world. So I like these 2. I like 2 different strategies. I like games with 2 different strategies that you can do. You can use your Dino Riders to fight back the ancient threat, or refit, equip, and man the Pearl of the Seas and attempt to escape the island. Unlike previously, Episode 4 is won by the player who obtains the most glory. instead of followers. But don't worry, at the end of the game, your followers will be converted to glory based on how effectively you fought off the ancient threat. Again, so different tracks. I like that idea, right? You invest a lot into the ancients, then the followers, and you kill them, then the followers are going to be worth more. If you invest a lot into the ancients and they don't die, well, then people are not going to be excited to follow you anymore. Overall, shorter playtime and fewer rules than episode 3, so we're just getting lower and lower and lower rules. Interesting. Episode 4 starts with the main board being overrun by 4 ancient war bands consisting of the rank-and-file spearmen, the resilient berserkers, the terrifying Six Legs, a hybrid war dino bred by the ancients. Each of these units can be fought with a combination of your riders. Similarly to episode 3, you earning you safeguard points that can be exchanged for valuable rewards. If you manage to defeat the entire warband, you can push them back, so it's like this ever-encroaching kind of tower defense. Or you can rebuild the Pearl for one last journey through the dimensional rift to get home. So you've been stranded for 20 years, and then maybe you can finally get back to your own island. You spend your followers, or even evacuate your outpost from the wilderness to populate the ship with passengers and crew. At the end of each turn, a preparation card will be evaluated, giving you various bonuses if you could meet its conditions with your crew or other assets. You'll be able to scout and prepare sea adventures, which will earn you glory at the end of the day. At the end of the game, if you can meet certain conditions, right? Invest in this or invest in that. Choose what to invest in. Choose what path to take. Already a more exciting story than episode 3. Where's the rulebook for episode 4? Why is there no rulebook for episode 4? There was a rulebook for episode 3 and there's no rulebook for episode 4? What is this garbage? There's the Chronicle mode. My pledge now. Did I miss it? Is it in that same file? Episode 3 and solo mode. There's no Perseverance. Episode 3 and 4. You just have episode 3 and you just have episode 3. And we're on what? How many days left of the campaign? That's stupid. Why are people backing this, like this double game, when you don't even know the double game? Like, I like that as a concept. That could be very interesting, but also not that interesting. So I understand why they're doing it as episode 3 and 4, because it clearly shares the same components. And so although it's like a very different game, it's the same game, like you're using the same components with different modules. It feels like episode 1, and then there was an expansion, episode 2, you know what I mean? And then this should be a new take and then an expansion, rather than it being a fully realized game or a standalone expansion. I don't know. Thanks to product concept of Perseverance and the fact that episodes share some components, we're able to offer you 4 different thematic heavy euros, each with detailed miniatures and dedicated solo mode, starting at 65 euros per game. I get that, but you need to, it's a forced bundle deal, right? Episode 3 doesn't really interest me. Episode 4, the sketch of it, does. But I'm not, it doesn't become savings if you're not interested in both. It doesn't become savings if you just want to have one of them, right? Episode 4 is something I'm much more interested in. And then I can't play the Chronicle mode if I don't have episode 1 and 2. Oh, and so there's the expansion edition, which is 125. And then there's the standalone edition, which is 155. Okay, so there's going to be double components that you have to pull from that other box too in order to even play this game. I don't see it. I don't see it being worth that. I think Mindclash is a really good company, but I think the cross-pollination of these different units and expansion stuff is going to make it really hard to organize. One of these is going to naturally be a little bit better than the others. Like there's differences, but there's a lot of similarities between them as well. And because there are a lot of similarities, that's why people say, oh, you have to play it with the expansion, blah, blah, blah. The expansion makes it the best game. One of these is going to be the best version of Perseverance. It will. And the other 3 won't be, right? They're not all going to be equal. They're not all going to be equal, and so unless you're really interested in that Chronicle mode of playing the same game with like slight changes, but you could play any campaign game that way. I feel like that's just the idea of campaign fever sinking in, the idea that you can create this board game cinematic universe, which we all know we need to wait for the movie versions to come out. I don't know. This significantly dampens my excitement for 1 and 2. I'll tell you that, because I thought 1 and 2 looked really cool, and I was like, it's Mindclash, probably really neat. But for me, I'm not a fan of how these kind of link together. I think I would prefer my experiences to be standalone, and even this 3 to 4 standalone edition, $36 Canadian, yeah, it's not bad actually if you divide it by 2 and you think you're getting 2 games there. But my argument and my gut is that you may be getting 2 games, but you're gonna like one of them more, and you're just gonna play that one more. And so because of that, you're paying extra for something that you're not even going to really get to the table. I would invest in a different Mind Clash title, anything that's standalone, before I invested in this. This would be this is the Mind Clash game that I'm the least interested in that I've seen, unfortunately. I think it's cool, but and I mean, it's obviously the gameplay is going to still be fun. You know, I don't worry about there not being enough to do in 8 turns. I just know that there's going to be, you're going to have a good time. But Expansion Edition, Standalone Edition, €34, €37 shipping, 23 to the European Union and the UK. So you lucked out on that one. But I'm looking at a $300 game. Sorry, 2 $150 games that I'm forced to purchase together. And I would much rather get Tricarion, I would much rather get Septima, and I would much rather get Voidfall, personally. But if you're interested in that, check it out. The finishes on the 24th at 12 p.m. Okay, moving along. Oh yeah, Queen Games has a new title. The Red Palace. Alhambra, the Red Palace. I just wanted to see how much they were charging for this. Limited edition. Yeah, limited edition. Everything you make is apparently a big box limited edition that'll come back every single campaign you do. Mega box upgrade kit. Oh, $29. Don't worry. But the limited edition, $78, 108 Canadian for, I don't care. We don't look at Queen Games in this family. Moving along to the Stars of Akarios 1.5 and new content. The epic solo and cooperative sci-fi game with an updated core box, new gameplay expansion, and more space combat and world exploration across the sweeping galaxy narrative. This has raised a bunch of money. I was expecting this to raise over $1 million too, and it didn't. I know Rado was pretty excited about this. He called it Gloomhaven in space, and I know he's brought it up a bunch in a few R&R lists that we've done together, like a few top 10, top 15 lists that we've done in terms of narrative-driven games. He's really enjoyed it. Well, sorry, he just absolutely love it. He just absolutely love it. Doesn't work when you say he, does it? But this, I remember looking into this a little bit, and it's very Gloomhaven in space. And 130? 130 is not that bad, actually. That's what you'd pay for Gloomhaven-ish. And if you can get something that's Gloomhaven in space in a 1.5 edition, if you like campaign games, I mean, I have a moratorium on campaign games. I can't even consider campaign games anymore in this family. And neither can you, but it's nice to sometimes it's nice to window shop, huh? And think about what your life could have been if you had the gumption to change your station, if you had the courage to reach out for what you really wanted instead of listening to someone telling you not to have a good time. That's why. It's just nice to always have a good time, right? Yeah, this is the standees, a bunch of standees, which is for sure what you want. And I remember the standees being pretty easy to pull out, actually. I think I watched an unboxing of this as well. I'm just going to click on this. Oh, look at that. That's what it links to. Okay. Yeah, that trailer is exciting, and then also simultaneously nothing about it gets me exciting. So it's just another big campaign game, says the guy who just agreed to undertake another big campaign game for a review. Yep. Let's look at the gameplay. How to play. Embark on a journey with the Sparrow, exploring intriguing points of interest across the 4 systems of the Akarios galaxy. Akarios, or Akarios if you're nasty. Galaxy. Will it be intense space combat, immersive world exploration, or unveiling the galaxy's secrets? Dive into the 200-plus page scenario book to chart your course. So there's going to be 2 sort of main styles, right? There'll be space combat. You'll fight against a bunch of different ships and enemies, and that's where you can roll action dice and assign them to your abilities. Carefully manage your supply, health, stress, and shield amidst the treacherous landscape of the battle. Okay. And then there's going to be world exploration. Step out of your ship and explore unique worlds, each with their own objectives and mysteries to unravel. And this is the part where it gives me 7th Continent flashbacks, and I just don't want anything to do with it. Although maybe not. Maybe because it's being flipped from this deck, they're sort of organized by planet. You'll pull out the deck, and then you'll start and you'll explore. And like any campaign game, you get to level yourself up. I think it's mostly about the spaceship combat, rolling dice and fighting things. You explore 10 unique planet decks with a choose-your-own-adventure style thing. So you really want to be invested in the narrative. So it's not Gloomhaven, because in Gloomhaven, you really don't need to be. This also is probably a solo experience as well. You can even see this, even with 2 players. No, that shows that it's probably a solo experience. It's rules like game of fast-paced space combat. I found the story to be far more interesting than Gloomhaven. Well, yeah, because there is no story in Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven's story is less than Infamous. And Infamous is just, hey, do you want to be a good boy or do you want to be a naughty boy? Like the video game system Infamous. This Infamous, fantastic games. All right, I'm looking at the rulebook. I'm not committing to reading through this whole thing because it's 57 pages and I don't wanna. And it seems like they don't want you to either with these beautiful headings. I think the key thing here is that this will be narrative driven, right? If you need to know that you'll like the space combat, that'll be fun, and you need to be excited to go onto the worlds and explore it. I think for price, I want to read more about the fighting. I like that you can get upgrades though, which are basically your special abilities. These are card based, right? They'll give you an amount of times that you can use them. You'll have a modifier deck so that when you flip over an attack, you can see if it does damage or not. Very Gloomhaven. That's the Gloomhaven comparison, right? I don't really see that much comparison with Gloomhaven right now, personally going through, especially because it seems more dice-based than anything. But I guess the cards as your upgrades, people just like to throw around Gloomhaven because people know it. So they say, wow, it's Gloomhaven in space. People go, woohoo! Gloomhaven's really well rated. And each enemy will have a different stats according to where it's placed, if it's elite or not, which is similar to the Gloomhaven as well. Okay, that's very easy. You roll dice. It's either going to be movement, attack, move or attack, or stress, which you can move or attack, but then you get just really stressed about it. Like read Deathstroke. Oh, this is cool, though. It shows the maneuvers, and you assign those die to perform the maneuvers as well. So you wouldn't be able to do more than a certain number of actions based upon your maneuverability of your ship, and presumably that gets better as you go along. Cool, and there is a stress ability too, that you can, if you're using a stress dice, you can kind of ramp up the tension. I like that in terms of a push your luck element. Yeah. See, this is getting me more excited about it. This gets me, when you look into specifics, it gets me a bit more excited. This is a bit confusing to me because, oh, I see. The first attack does 1 damage. The second attack does 2 damage before modifiers. Cool. I like that. Yeah, they have to be in that position. So you can shoot them in any one of those positions. It's not like the wizard in Gloomhaven, which has that big fireball spell and hits everybody. I think it's only one specific action. But I'm sure things modify it down the line, right? As you go through and you upgrade your ships and give yourself advantage and disadvantage. Yeah, okay, we made it through 30 pages. Repairing, triggering, etc. Then the enemy will attack you in its own little AI. I said I wasn't going to read all this. Here we are. And then just some additional rules. Okay, seems fun. And the gameplay pledge. Oh, yuck. 200. No, stop it. It's an upgrade pack. No, disgusting. We want the standard pledge of 130 US, which, man, our dollar's bad. It's 182 Canadian, and then shipping for everything 35 to 40. But I guess it's gonna be a chunky, expensive box, right? So you're looking at like 170. I'm looking at around 250 Canadian for this. Starts to get up there, you know? But definitely looks cool. I mean, there's zero interest on my part because I have too many campaign games to play. I like the idea of rolling and assigning dice, though. And I think it seems pretty simple to get into and to really kind of bang out. So it doesn't seem like too much of a complexity budget or complexity investment, so to speak. And if you're interested in that, the finish is on the 24th at 8 p.m. Okay, past all the hard ones. Let's see if this is even a game that we're going to talk about, or if it's going to be a funny card game. I mean, it's Frenemies, trade socks or steal socks. Yuck. Dive into 2 to 5 player asymmetric card game. Yes, yum. About business memes, absurd horror, and ruining friendships. Middle ground. Could be good, could be horrible. No. I don't think so. It's 30 Canadian, so probably 22 US. Have cards in your hand, push your luck, don't get bankrupt. But hey, you're drawing random cards. Whenever there's like random cards being drawn that can just end your game unless you have a thing to counter it, I'm really not that interested. They also want to make a news platform here where they can keep you up to date with comics. I'll leave it in the links, but that's the best that I can do. Moving along, just quickly to Dragon Book Dice Tower with RPG storage modules. I feel like I've talked about this before. Maybe not. I've talked about it for WSBG. Fyre and Ash. Renee thought they looked really, really cool, and their stuff looks really, really cool. And so it's definitely super well made, but it also comes with a lot of expense. They were at WSBG. They were They were in the vendor hall at WSBG, and so Renee was talking to him, and she was like, "Hey, this is all so cool, Chris, give them a shout out." I'm like, so yeah, I want to shout them out because their stuff is really neat, really well made, but also I'm too cheap to buy it. I'll be honest, I don't have the money to buy it. It's a very niche sort of hobby when you're buying this big old dragon dice tower, this hollow book for $84. It looks like a book on your shelf, but it functions as a dice tray, dice tower, storage for miniatures. You can put whatever you want in it. You can just get the book. Basically, this is like laser etched. So there's a machine that takes the wood and then like etches in the designs as well. And even this wood, I don't know how they get it to be like spongy, but it is. I think it's pretty cool. And if you got the money and you think it's interesting, super well made, can vouch for that. But obviously way too opulent for this cheapo. However, I think it's cool, so I wanted to mention it. If you're interested in that, that finishes Saturday, November 25th at 6 p.m. Moving along, we have Spirit Fyre again, just in a different name. Truth or Fate, a magical game that tells your future. A tarot-inspired card game that magically brings people closer with clever questions and activities and then tells everyone future. And you know what? You are the story. It's Spirit Fyre again. Spirit Fyre, the card game. They're being subtle. Orange Nebula. They're trying to brand in a different way. Well, we can see the remnants of Spirit Fyre here, right? That we can find out about ourselves and really star and be the stars of this game. I don't think there's a game here. I just wanted to make that joke. Oh yeah, you can play it blindfolded. What if strangers could become friends? That never happened once. Friends start as friends. What if every voice could be heard? Well, okay, a little ableist. What if instead of lost, we felt found? What if instead of guessing, we understood? Yeah. I wish I could understand the shipping prices. What could our world would be? Oh, I missed that. If we shined our brightest, if we all loved, what future could we make if we embraced our present? Honestly, you can see why it's Spirit Fyre. What else could you call that world besides Spirit Fyre? Or Spirit Fyre. It's the same. I think it's the same video. I feel like if this isn't Spirit Fyre, they need to they need to sue Truth or Fate for copyright infringement because it's the same game. It's got cards. It's the same game. Anyway, it's just a tarot deck. It's just a tarot deck. Let's move on. You don't get a link to that. Okay, let's move on to our last game, I think, because the next one's just this. Yeah, our last game of the week, a solo card game, Pocket Planet. Terraform the Galaxy in this unique solo card game, playable anywhere. The universe is flat. The earth is flat, the universe is flat, because it is one single card. We're all just dancing on one single card, and isn't that the cruelest trick of them all? We're going to get crumpled up when we're forgotten and thrown into the washing machine and the dryer. Oh, dang it. This is very funny. After a successful launch and 2 billion alien backers in the Andromeda Galaxy, Pocket Planet is finally here for you, Earthlings, to enjoy. I can't fact check it. I just have to assume they're telling the truth. 2 billion! 2 billion alien backers. If we don't back this, we are stupider than that alien life form. All right, that got us hyped, didn't it? The Cosmic Boogaloo. It's a revolutionary new solo card game. Well, I think I've seen this sort of thing before, but it seems pretty simple. You explore the vastness of space, terraform planets in the comfort of your own pocket. Yeah, all the cards have to stay in your pocket as well. That's the key. That's if you really want to take it to the sort of nightmare level. You don't look at the cards, you just know them. It seems very simple. You're going to draw 3 cards. They're all going, the orientation of the cards really matters. They're all going to have resources up at the top, and you can use those resources to upgrade the planets in your hand. I hope you draw the right ones. I hope you make the right choices and upgrade, get better and better, and you cycle through your deck 4 times, and you see how many planets you're able to terraform. It's €4, 6 Canadian. You can see how there's a point value for everything. 16 unique double-sided planet cards. 8 rotations per planet. 8 rotations. Okay, so you'd flip it. Double-sided energy card. Okay, so you flip that as well. So you get 8 rounds. Oh, and this is just print and play. It's a print and play. Print and play for €4. That's it. That actually seems fine, you know? A very simple little solo puzzle. I think it hits the exact mark that you might want it to do. The only issue would be printing square cards and finding a printer that does that. I still haven't gone and done any print and plays, so somebody let me know how you would print square cards. If you're interested in that, it finishes Monday, November 27th at 1 p.m. Moving along to Game Toppers. This is our last look. Game Toppers 4.0, game mats, game tables, and Young Sherlock. Upgrading your gaming experience. New Young Sherlock coffee or children's table. Cool. 10 new thematic mats. Yeah. Accessories, and designer Mycroft. I remember the mats. I remember Game Topper mats at Origins, actually. They sponsored it. And they were kind of all thrown out in the open gaming area, strewn out nicely. All right, yeah, this is just going to go on for a while, doing nothing. Show me the goods. But yeah, I thought they looked kind of okay. I think people like Game Toppers anyway, if they're back for a 4.0. Oh, that's kind of cool. There are these little designer pads for your table. That's neat, because your table will have these little edges for you to put your to lean on. I know Game Theory Tables has that as well, and they made little designer things for like the Dice Throne table and the Red Cathedral table. And so having this, like having a thematic table, a game mat, that's pretty cool. So there's a bunch of new thematic mats. Cool. That you could swap in and out. That's pretty neat. And you can purchase a $479 topper. I'm excited about the mats. I'm excited about the mats and the Kickstarter special. You can get these. I don't know if that's a horrible price. I don't have any game mats. I don't really use them. I don't use them, but it's kind of cool. Oh, Resource, Scythe inspired, but not an official Stonemaier Games project. Because if you do anything that's Stonemaier intellectual property, they will bring the hammer down on you. The Lestrade, 36 by 36 play area. So 3 feet by 3 feet for $500. That's not bad. 3 feet by 6 feet, that's about a standard $849. Also not horrible. What's shipping? I'm sure that shipping's like $100 for everything. Watson Topper, yeah, any of the toppers are $150 or $220. $230 to get to Canada. So again, like game tables are expensive, right? I also don't know. Oh yeah, legs and kits. So you have to buy the legs separately. Yeah, you can get the toppers, and then you can get the legs. Oh, I hate this. I hate this so much. That's why I always thought it might be reasonable, because it didn't come with any legs. It just came with the topper. I guess you could put your own legs on it if you wanted, or you can choose your different type of legs in a mix and match, but that's why they're called game toppers, because the legs don't come with the table. That should be their new slogan. If you're interested in that, it finishes Tuesday, November 28th at 12:59 a.m. That's it. That's it for the week. It feels weird to finish it more quickly than I did last time, but that was an anomaly. Yeah, so that's it for the week. Every week I do a pick for me and a pick for you. The pick for me being the thing that I am the most interested in getting this time around. And the pick for you being the thing that if you got it, you would enjoy it. And this one's tough. It's kind of a no pick for anyone week, I think, to be honest. It's just for like prices versus what you get versus the other alternatives that exist. I don't think it's a pick for anyone. If I had to pick, Old King's Crown looks fine. I bet it's going to be good enough, but I would just rather play Fractured Skies, I think. Valka, for the price, I think it might do something a little bit different than the other sort of lane battler games. I like the multiple ways of fighting. I like being able to team up. I don't know how fun that'll be. You have to really like the genre. Perseverance really didn't grab me. I expected it to grab me, but it didn't, especially with there being no rulebook for episode 4. Which I didn't check in the updates, and I don't want to find it right now, to be honest. I don't think it's there. I think if I had to pick, maybe Stars of Akarios. I think the systems seem pretty fun in there, and I think $130 isn't a horrible price for a big campaign game at this stage of the game. But I don't know. I don't think anything really grabbed me that much to make it a real pick. If you like deck builders, here's a pick. Here's a pick from my friend Ryan that I was hanging out with. If you like deck builders, there's this game Inscription, which apparently is this sort of deck builder where you're playing a deck builder at a table, but then you can also, what he told me is you can get up from the table and see where you are. And apparently it's kind of, it's described as escape room meets Slay the Spire with a beginning, middle, and end. I don't know. That kind of seems cooler than any of the games this week, to be honest. So yeah, I don't think any picks this week. I mean, I did do my sort of kind of shout outs. We got half picks, meld them together if you really need to push in that direction. But nothing really blew me away, and especially after a week where there was a lot of stuff, and especially with a lot of stuff coming down the line, again, you need to be actively excited. And if you're not actively excited, why are you purchasing things? Why are you adding things to your shelf? Why are you creating that clutter? Why? You're actively excited for games on your shelf. Are you equally excited for these games? That's the question. That's the question that you need to answer. That's why there's no pick for you this week. There for sure will be down the line. I know about things that are coming out that look cool, and I think we're going to finish this year off with a bang. There's a lot of projects dropping this week. So Food Chain Magnate is going to be out, which I'm excited to look into, although they said it's going to be more expensive than Food Chain Magnate already is, and that's very expensive. Nemesis, obviously, I'm excited to look at. Holotype will be finishing up soon. That expansion will be finishing up. So those are the few things that I'm interested in checking out for sure. Anyway, that's it. Let me know if you're backing anything, if I missed the mark on Perseverance. I don't think I did. I think all the other Mind Clash stuff looks better. But let me know if you're really excited about certain things, because I always like to hear about your excitement. And if you're not really excited, if you're not excited enough to even make a comment about it, then you're not excited enough to get the game. Let's be real. Anyway, thanks for watching. My name's Chris George. You know what? I'm sorry for almost poking you in the eye. I don't have a catchphrase, and I'm about to have a lawsuit. I guess all of that ocular damage that is coming your way. You know what my pick for me is? My pick for me is the soundtrack to Valka. Valka! Probably not even the right song anymore. All right, see ya!